Cheers. My high school math teacher, Mr. Dill, he was an inspiration. He once told a kid that he was a failure and the only bliss that he will ever have in life would be a result from drinking a six-pack every Friday because he could only afford it on Fridays. But one of the most memorable moments that I've had with him was when he told a class of 16-year-olds about chemtrails. So have you seen these things up in the sky? Well, they're called chemtrails. United States government sends Air Force jets up into the upper atmosphere and sprays chemicals down on us, American citizens. They look like normal contrails, but they stick around. That's how you can tell the difference. The other ones just dissipate. And so this really started happening in the 90s, and there's 3 different causes of chemtrails. The first one that we're going to talk about seems to be the most devious. There are the thin, long ones, right? The thin, long ones, not the wider ones, but the thin, long ones. They're formed when jets spill out zinc cadmium sulfide. This chemical is a known carcinogen. The leading theory is that the government can target certain areas to control the population growth in those certain areas, and it also assists the pharmaceutical industry as well by giving these people cancer. It's actually really fucked up. You see these thin chemtrails, it's best to stay inside. If you see them, get inside as soon as you can. Now the next 2 are very similar looking, but they have 2 different purposes. These are the wider chemtrails. They're caused by 2 different metallic chemicals. The first is when they drop a compound mixture, mostly made out of aluminum oxide. This aluminum oxide spreads out as it loses altitude. And the main purpose of this is to reflect light and insulate against the sun's energy. Is to assist the fight against global warming, right? So not all these are really bad intentions, but also it's not the greatest thing to be dropping chemicals into our atmosphere. This process is called the albedo modification. It stems from research done on massive supervolcanoes, right? And those massive supervolcanoes go ahead and explode and erupt, and then they cover the sky in ash, and they cause insulation from the sun's energy, and it also reflects the sun's energy and the light from it. So it cools down the earth, which is great because we're fighting global warming, but too much of it, again, from these supervolcanoes, can actually turn the whole entire globe into just an ice sheet, right? Going back into the ice age. So that's a problem in itself. Now, the second metallic chemtrail created by the US government, it's the wider ones. It's the most wide ones, right? They're released a little bit lower, that 25 to 30,000 feet. The other ones are released about that 50,000 feet marker. And they are using a mixture of silver iodide and potassium iodide. And as the mixture approaches 15,000 feet, as it falls down, right, they start to resemble normal clouds, and that's why it widens up into a normal cloud. It's there for cloud seeding. They usually use it in the southwest region of the USA. They also use it on the west side of China, right? So they can create clouds to create rainfall for these arid areas, right? But again, what are these chemicals doing up in the sky? Are they just there to just fuck us all over? What are they doing? How's it impacting the environment, right? But before we continue, let's take off our tinfoil hats, okay? And let's talk about it. Let's ask about it. Let's see if it's even true. Well, for about 20 years, from 1998 to 2016, the only studies out there were from the government. All right? So, really can't trust that. Also, it's without question that all of them were saying that it's a myth, it's not real, the government's not doing this. But in 2016, there's actually a study that came out from the University of California in Irvine. And there, they informed us that, yeah, it's a myth. It's not real. So the first one, right, with the zinc cadmium, there's 0 evidence of the government ever actually spilling this out on its citizens from a jet. But in 1950, in St. Louis, in an operation called Operation LAC, or LAC, the government did spray out zinc cadmium, which again is a carcinogen, on top of schools and out of planes there. It's kind of wild. So how about albedo modification? Well, it is real. Hypothetical. It's a real hypothetical process. And in the future, who knows? There could be plans of that happening in the future or going to happen in the future, but right now there is zero evidence of this being applied. Cloud seeding is real. It's actually real. And they do use silver and potassium iodide, but they can't form clouds. They only take made up clouds already and they just enhance them, right? They turn them into storm clouds. They actually fly planes like this, so not jets. They don't go out on nice sunny days. They'll go out on cloudy, stormy days. Again, it's really there just to enhance the clouds to maximize the rain output. Okay, so what are the things that we call chemtrails? What the fuck are they? Well, they're just normal contrails, right? These jets are flying around at about 50,000 feet. Up there, it's negative 69, nice, 0.7 degrees. Negative 69.7 degrees, that's fucking cold as shit. And so when that jet exhaust comes out of the jet, it instantly turns into ice, which we can see. Now, normally it only takes a few seconds for it to be removed and kind of warm up and get into the actual atmosphere. But on more moist days, it will stay around, sometimes for hours. And the longer it's out there, the wider it becomes. So it's just different stages of the same thing. Well, that's about it. Mr. D can go fuck himself and join us next Saturday for another conspiracy video.